Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what it is with people and just being filthy, nasty, and disgusting, but it just seems like we have a number of stories that are just so littered with just disgusting details that it would turn anybody's stomach. So let me forewarn you, the details in this story, in this baby story, are definitely not going to sit well with your sensibilities. They're going to have some graphic details, okay? So if you need to exit, or if you can't handle my opinion, then I understand. But that is your disclaimer if you got to exit, if you got to go. But I got to tell y'all this story. A 22-year-old mother and her boyfriend, can we get a hashtag mom's boyfriend yet again? Mom and her boyfriend are behind bars this week after police say that the couple subjected her 5-year-old daughter to extreme abuse and torture before her death. Before I give you guys the details, let me say thank you to lawandcrime.com for the article. I get a lot of my articles from them and Daily Mail and People and a lot of these different places. But that is my source. Katrina Mendoza, this individual, hot dog face looking woman on the left-hand side of the screen, and SpongeBob SquareHead, Jose Ruiz on the right-hand side, both are 25 years old, were taken into custody Thursday morning and charged with 1 count of injury to a child causing serious bodily injury in the death of Mercedes Lasoya, that angel that you see on my screen. She was 5 years old. And I just don't understand. I don't understand. And I clearly remember when my daughter was her age. And this baby just didn't deserve to have this happen to her. But I'm telling y'all, the details are about to get really deep, really, really quick. So y'all bear with me. Now, according to a copy of the probable cause affidavit obtained by the San Antonio CBS affiliate, KSAT-TV, Mendoza on February the 7th, this was very recent, brought an unresponsive Mercedes Lasoya to the Southwest General Hospital in San Antonio for treatment. So Texas takes an L on this one. Doctors attempted to resuscitate Mercedes, but she was pronounced dead shortly after arriving at the hospital. The medical team reportedly noted that Mercedes had sustained visible injuries and notified police about the suspicious nature of her wounds. Officers with the San Antonio Police Department police responded to the scene, produced a disturbing report about the provenance of Mercedes' injuries. Y'all might want to brace yourselves for this. Hashtag stay out of the thug zoo. Thank you for that. Per the affidavit, Mercedes had visible sections of her hair missing that appeared to have been torn from her head. She had also sustained extensive bruises, scratches, cuts, and swelling on every visible portion of her body. She reportedly had cuts and swelling on both of her hands that appeared to be defensive wounds, trying to fight back. Her legs and feet were also battered, and she was reportedly missing several toenails. Y'all said it in the chat perfectly. What could she have done to deserve that? The victim's legs were covered with bruises, some of which appeared to be patterned, which is what commonly is seen when either belts or objects are used to inflict injury, which is also why I say people need to stop spanking and being physical with children. This is 2022. If you are still spanking your children in 2022, I'm just going to flat out say it and not spare your feelings. And I'm just going to tell you, you are a bad parent. Flat out. If you spank your children, hit your children, push your children, are physical with your children in any shape, form, or fashion in order to do what you think is disciplining them or punishing them, you are a bad parent and you need some freaking help and counseling. Children are like sponges and they will only regurgitate what we give them. It is difficult to be a parent, but it is doable to use your mind and not your fist and your hands and feet and other objects to get a child. It takes more work mentally, which is why you should be mentally ready to have a child in order to teach them and love them and train them, right? It's not an easy job. The Bexar County Medical Examiner's Office performed an autopsy on Mercedes and told police that it was obvious the victim suffered extreme abuse and torture per the affidavit. Not my words, per the affidavit. Mercedes' injuries were so numerous that the medical examiner reportedly said that there was no clear or obvious injury that caused the victim's death. She was just beat the hell up all the way around. And that further investigation will be required to make a conclusion as the cause and manner of her death. In an interview with investigators, Mendoza allegedly accused Ruiz of subjecting Mercedes to horrific abuse in the 3 weeks since Mercedes, the mother, and her 6-year-old daughter moved into his home. According to the Daily Beast, Mendoza told police that she witnessed Ruiz, as the report put it, shovel dog feces into the victim's mouth as he yelled at the child, and did the same thing with a sock that was soaked in urine and put it in her mouth. I am absolutely speechless. I wanted to reiterate that. I can't even read that again. She further claimed that Ruiz and he did this to your child and you just let it. I think she participated in it, let alone watching it, knowing that it happened and didn't do anything about it. I think the mom deserves the equal amount of time in prison. Equal. Not different, equal. The same. She further claimed that Ruiz aggressively pulled the sock from the Mercedes' mouth with so much force that he ripped 2 of the girl's teeth out of her mouth. SpongeBob Squarehead, this little square-headed thug. And this mom loved her boyfriend and didn't give a crap about her child. I think the mom deserves more time in prison for putting your child in this type of danger and leaving your child with your thug lion. Hashtag, when you date thugs, you date death. Mendoza reportedly continued with shocking allegations of physical abuse and corporal punishment that included punching the child with closed fist. Keep in mind, as a grown-ass man, while wearing multiple rings, R-I-N-G-S, rings, wearing multiple rings on his hands. She reportedly said Ruiz also forced the child to stand in place while holding heavy, what they said, quote unquote, heavy objects during a video call in the weeks before her death. She said Mercedes was crying while she held the objects. So mom just left her child in this situation, man. This is disgusting. Ruiz told police that when it came to Mercedes, he merely slapped her on the ASS and made her stand in a corner, KSAT reported. I'm sure he probably did that more. I'm sure he probably did more than that to this little girl. Where's the biological father? We don't know. Allegedly blamed all of the child's injuries on Mendoza, except for the missing portions of hair, which he claimed were pulled out by Mercedes' 6-year-old sister. Blame the kids. How convenient is that? I didn't do nothing. I didn't do nothing. The little girl did it to herself. I didn't do nothing. Police wrote that Ruiz appeared to be deflecting responsibility for his actions onto Mendoza and the victim's sister, of course. Mercedes' 6-year-old sister was removed from the home and placed in the custody of CPS, because apparently CPS is a better parent than the biological parents, mother and father. An SAPD spokesperson reportedly told KSAT that the charges against the couple may be upgraded pending further investigation into the circumstances of this little girl's death. So we hope that they get the maximum sentence under law and more. Let me give you guys the fair usage. Let's get it. Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use. It is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107. One thing you guys can do if you want to help share the memory of this baby and help get her justice, share this story. A lot of people hadn't even heard of this. So if you guys would, do me a favor, and we want to have one thumb up for every person watching. Hit that thumbs up and share this story so more people can see this and know what these heinous monsters did to this child, this baby, and blamed it on her sister. Isn't that something? Let's get it.
A 5-year-old girl is dead. Another horrific case of child abuse in Bexar County. Tonight, her mother taken into custody and charged with injury to child. The mother's boyfriend was arrested this morning on the same charge. Arrest documents detail weeks of torture and abuse. Eyewitness News reporter Alicia Nieves sat down with family who say the bruises and neglect began shortly after the girl was born.
5-year-old Mercedes Lozoya was known for having a big, loving heart.
Very sweet. She loved God. She loved going to church. She loved school. She loved her sissy.
Her father's side of the family says CPS called yesterday, telling them tragedy struck when Mercedes and her sister were in their mother's care.
It's sad to say, but we automatically knew it was something to Mercedes. She had a lot of anger towards Mercedes. I don't know why, but she favored Jordan, and I saw that right off the bat.
For as long as the Lozoya family can remember, they say they always noticed injuries on the little girl.
Bruising, bruises, all on her face, her arms and everything.
They say the abuse and neglect began just weeks after Mercedes was born.
Weeks ago, they said she hadn't had a bottle in, 2-3 days?
The Lozoyas claim they tried to get custody of Mercedes, but were unsuccessful. Her father told us off camera he last saw his daughters in October. Since then, he said their mother wouldn't allow him to see the girls.
So apparently that's the biological father's story. Did he fight for her in court? Don't know, but he just said he wouldn't let me see her, or she wouldn't let me see her, and that was just the end of it, I guess. I don't know. I don't like that for an answer, but at least we heard it.
My son had no part of what happened to my granddaughter.
Arrest documents reveal in disturbing detail the torture and extreme abuse Mercedes went through at the hands of her mother's boyfriend, Jose Ruiz. The document says the girl experienced countless hits to her body. Mercedes' mother brought her to a Southside hospital Monday where she was pronounced dead. Police say her body was swollen and covered in bruises and cuts.
Because I couldn't help her, because he couldn't help her, because we all couldn't help her. That's a better place for her than what she lived the 5 years that she was here on earth.
Family held a vigil tonight to remember Mercedes in hopes justice will prevail in court.
The Department of Family and Protective Services tells us the family has been involved with the department before. Alicia, do we know where Mercedes' older sister is right now?
Sharon, the 6-year-old, is in foster care. The Lozoya family tells us they're fighting for custody, but that process could take approximately 2 months. Live on the northwest side, Alicia Nieves, KENS 5 Eyewitness.
But first, our top story tonight. We're getting new details from police and family members about the death of 5-year-old Mercedes Lozoya.
The little girl's mother and the mother's boyfriend were both arrested last week in connection with her death and alleged torture.
News 4 San Antonio's Joe Galley spoke with family members who say they made repeated attempts to save this little girl.
He is also holding our local police and district attorney accountable. Amid accusations, this case fell through the cracks. Joe.
Yeah, according to neighbors that live at this apartment complex, they made multiple calls to police and to Child Protective Services when they heard and they saw evidence of abuse. According to family members, they said they tried to take custody of that little girl multiple times, but each time that little girl ended up going back with her mother.
We tried. Everybody tried. Yearly, we have case numbers. We have, messages where we tried to do it the right way. I don't know what else people wanted us to do, kick her butt,
Valerie Rios is Mercedes Lozoya's great aunt on her father's side. Rios says the family tried to get custody of the little girl multiple times and repeatedly told police and Child Protective Services about the alleged abuse.
Unfortunately, nothing was ever done.
Today, San Antonio police.
I don't know why they wouldn't have looked into this further. And it sounds like that little girl would have survived if they would have given custody to her. That's just absolutely insane. Somebody wants to help and you're just like, nope. Then the kid end up dead.
Police Chief William McManus and Bexar County District Attorney Joe Gonzalez attended a large press conference on the steps of City Hall. It was about family violence. This was our chance to ask questions about the case.
How can a case like that fall through the cracks?
Well, unfortunately, that happens from time to time, and because it's a pending case, I can't go into any specifics. But that's what we're all about, is trying to prevent that kind of atrocity. My heart goes out to that family. Law enforcement cannot be everywhere, and it's hard to prevent certain crime. And we are seeing an increase in, for example, homicides across the country. That's certainly the case in Texas and even in Bexar County. But what we're all trying to do is do everything we can to be proactive.
William McManus tells me the police department is looking into what may have gone wrong in this case.
What's your response to this case possibly falling through the cracks?
Well, that's exactly what we're looking at. We're trying to see where the gaps were, if there were any gaps. We're still in the process of doing that, and once we're done, if there were gaps, we'll address them and hopefully make things better.
McManus added when police officers respond to these types of calls, many times the officers don't see the same thing as the person who made the report, and officers are limited to what they can do legally.
The other entity that we're trying to hold accountable is Child Protective Services. They told us that they're not going to be doing any interviews with us until a full report is completed, and that should take about a month. Simone, Robert?
A horrific case of child abuse that left a 5-year-old girl dead.
Her mother now arrested just hours ago. She and her boyfriend are both now charged with serious bodily injury to a child.
While we won't be sharing any graphic details, this story still comes with a warning for its sensitive nature. News 4 San Antonio's Robin O'Guinye brings us more.
This is 22-year-old Katrina Mendoza, arrested for injury to a child. According to police documents, she, along with her boyfriend, brought her unresponsive 5-year-old daughter, Mercedes Lozoya, to Southwest General Hospital Monday. Mercedes was pronounced dead less than 20 minutes after arriving. Mendoza's boyfriend, 25-year-old Jose Angel Ruiz, is also being charged with injury to a child.
We have a 5-year-old victim who's deceased. And like I said before, it's a very tragic situation.
According to the medical examiner, the little girl appeared to have suffered extreme physical abuse and torture. We can't mention everything in the report because some details are very disturbing. Noted in that report, sections of Mercedes' hair was missing. Her body was covered from head to toe with swelling, lacerations, and bruises associated with marks you'd see from a belt. Her feet and toes had deep abrasions with missing toenails. The wounds were in different stages of healing, indicating the abuse may have gone on for a longer period of time. Also, according to the medical examiner, there is no clear or obvious injury that caused Mercedes' death and that further investigation is needed. Mercedes does have a 6-year-old sister. We reached out to Child Protective Services to ask if CPS had visited this family before and where the 6-year-old is now. They sent us this statement. It says, quote, CPS is jointly investigating this case with law enforcement. The family has been involved with the department before. CPS has the 6-year-old sister in foster care. Detectives say after searching Ruiz's apartment and finding evidence connected to the case, it appeared the abuse may have occurred there. We visited a prior address listed for Mendoza. While there, we talked to someone related to her who said they kicked her out a while ago and she had many visits there from CPS.
Don't wait till it's too late. Speak out now. Call police. You can call anonymous. You can call the non-emergency number. You can call the emergency number if you feel like it. You can be anonymous, but this is something that can be prevented.
We talked to neighbors today who told us they called the police repeatedly about violence they both heard and saw.
My first report was...
Y'all hear this? So they said they reportedly called, not reportedly, repeatedly called, and they did nothing. They saw something, said something, and CPS and police didn't do anything. This little girl was beat to death and beat up her entire life. And she made it to be 5 years old. Can y'all imagine? All this girl knew was getting beat up for 5 freaking years. That is unbelievable.
It was on November, after Thanksgiving, when we first started hearing incidents. We've been hearing beating, sounds like a fist hitting a hand, for the past 2 weeks. I would say more like 50 or 60 hits like that.
Gabriel Granado and his fiancée, Gabriela Iturbe, live next door to Jose Ruiz at the Henry B Apartments. Ruiz is the boyfriend of Katrina Mendoza, Mercedes' mother. Ruiz and Mendoza have been arrested in connection with the girl's violent death. The police say involved beatings and torture.
I called police several times, and I was just, and especially that last time was Saturday morning, and I called the operator and asked, I knew something was a little different this time.
Gabriela says she witnessed a previous incident when Mendoza was physically abusive to her daughter in the apartment parking lot.
She physically kicked her to the side, and of course we called, and it wasn't the only time.
Repeated calls did not result in the child being removed from the home.
We did call the police. We did what we could. We did what we were to report. I lost faith.
The neighbors tell us the abuse escalated in recent days, prompting the final call to the police.
They sent somebody within 15 minutes, but they didn't answer the door, so they didn't do anything.
And let me tell you guys this. My state of Texas is usually pretty good when it comes to super aggravated child abuse laws, which this would apply because this is a child under the age of 10 years old. But if that man that said that he lost faith, or this woman right here, would have decided to go put their foot up that mother's ass, or the boyfriend go beat him the hell up for watching them abuse that kid, oh, they'd be in jail. They'd be sued and be looking at prison time for vigilante justice, for trying to save a child. But that's also why I want to remind you guys, this is a reminder that they were forced to handle this the legal way. And I don't ever want anybody to put your livelihood in jeopardy. If you see something, say something, you call the police, and that's all you can do. I would never encourage you to jump in and put yourself at legal or physical risk. But I will say this. I would understand if somebody did decide to jump in. I would understand. It's clear to understand, especially when you keep seeing this happen and the police ain't doing nothing about it. CPS ain't doing nothing about it. They didn't take it serious, and you watched a girl die. That's hard to do. That's hard to live with and accept that I didn't do enough. So That's why either the laws need to change or CPS and the police need to get up off their hands and do something about it and take it serious. I don't think these people are calling and making these phone calls for no damn reason because they's jealous or some crap like that. They saw a serious concern and put trust in the faith in the system, and for the people that they voted for in these government systems, people are getting paychecks and getting paid and won't do their damn job. But they damn sure would punish them if they would have jumped in and tried to do something about it that would have saved this little girl's life.
I cried.
Relatives also tell us today they reached out repeatedly to both the police and Child Protective Services, but were not able to get the agencies to remove the child.
It's really upsetting knowing that you tried and you couldn't do anything to change it.
We reached out to both the police and CPS today to get their response to the complaints from both neighbors and relatives. They didn't respond to our interview request. Back to you, Robert.
I've never seen a reporter do like this, like this, like this, like this. I don't know. That's just weird looking to me. It had nothing to do with the story. But vigilante justice is easy to understand because there's clearly a lack. There's clearly a need of some better police protection, police procedure, or child protective services. They didn't do their job. One call should have been enough. One call should have been enough, and it wasn't. But again, I'd like to say that the failure starts with the biological mother, biological father. That's always going to be the root cause of how these children end up in this situation. And biological mothers and biological fathers should bring children into this world in a more stable fashion. And maybe we could lessen these situations where mom goes out and gets attracted to, like, I don't even understand how you even attracted at somebody with a head that is squeezed down, look like a squeezed loaf of bread like that. What's so attractive about a man that kick your daughter's ass up and down the freaking street all damn? What's attractive about that? What gets a mother off on something like that? I don't know. I really don't. But this little girl cannot speak for herself. She cannot defend herself against the tyranny of her mother and mother's boyfriend. They both need equal amounts of time in prison. Life in prison would be the only justice in this story. That beautiful baby girl needed an advocate, and there was nobody there for her. Mercedes, young princess, R.I.P. We do hope that somebody will share your story, hit that thumbs up, and make sure that we can get this word out there and let your lawmakers know. They're in a voting season right now. Do y'all know who is going to put their foot down on these bad parents and these thugs? Check out your governors, check out your mayors, check out the people who are asking and begging and pleading for your votes. You go to the mailbox and you see all of these flyers for all these people wanting your freaking vote. What you gonna do for the kids? I'm not giving you my vote until you give me an answer to that. And it needs to be something suitable. Justice for Mercedes, please. Thank y'all for listening to that baby story.